What's up? Good morning, everybody. Welcome aboard. It is Trading Live with Bubba. It is Tuesday, the 29th of October, and markets remain listless. Not a lot going on, but of course, we'll see if we can find something to do. I don't expect a lot this week. You've got ADP jobs tomorrow. You've got the regular jobs on Friday. You've got ISM. You've got GDP. In the meantime, you've got an election next Tuesday. So I don't expect a dramatic amount of action, but you never know. I mean, we did get some wild action over the last 45 minutes or so, even though volume is light, but we did get some action. So we'll see. Right now, there is nothing, as you can see. I mean, right now, one of the things we can do just for ourselves is we can draw the volume areas that we need to see before we even consider a trade. Remember, we need two components here to trade, volume and price. So if I don't have the volume, the price is immaterial. Okay. So we'll just kind of set up a little bit of a stage here so that we don't have to look closely at where we would trade. This is natural gas. We're not trading this yet. I've been experimenting it with my morning crew. But overall, you can see, and of course, as we look at some of the markets, and I think it's important that we don't always look at these, but when you look at gold itself, extremely overbought. There is going to be some selling here at some point. I can't tell you when it's going to be, but I would certainly want to be to the short side in paper. In physical, I'm always to the long side, so it doesn't matter. And the same goes for silver. Extremely overbought. Look for a little bit of a pullback. Again, these are things that we do look at in the actual markets themselves on the bigger picture. You're nowhere. You're stuck in consolidation in the S&P, in the NASDAQ, in the Russell, and in the Dow. So you're not getting a lot of action. Even after last week's big sell-off, the Dow has started to come back a little bit. Again, we're not making any predictions. It's not what we do. Okay, we look for high probability setups. Let's go back here and see if anything is developing. And as you can see, there's no volume. So we'll go to and look at our usual list of goods. Now, one thing we have this week, very careful, earnings. Okay, earnings are much more challenging, especially in the option world, because the volatility is priced so high that we don't want, nor do we need to get overly involved. And I think that if you remember that there's just not a lot to do, and you really, unless you're smart enough to guess what the earnings, it's not really to guess what the earnings are. It is to guess what the market's going to react to those earnings. And I think that's important to understand, that you got to be right on more than one count. So for me, Apple, I would just wait. And I mean, besides the fact that there's nothing to do anyways. Amazon, same thing. There isn't much to do anyways. And again, why should I position myself in the earnings when I have no idea how the markets are going to react to the earnings? I would tell you that you've got some relatively reasonable expected moves. In Apple, the expected move for this week is $8 plus or minus. For Amazon, the expected move is $12 plus or minus. So you've got some, certainly you've got a 6 or 7% move priced in an Amazon. I would say this to you, that if I were going to trade them, I would wait till after the earnings. And if either one went further up or further down than expected, I would be either a buyer or a seller. Okay. But for now, not much. Coin, earnings again. So what am I going to do here? Okay. I'm not really interested. I would certainly, if I were going to look at a trade here, I would certainly be leaning towards the short side. Let me just go back and see if anything's happening while we're talking. Again, I would certainly be leaning to the short side of coin, and not because I'm negative against Bitcoin, okay, or against coin. It's just we've had a pretty monster move, and you can see that you're pretty severely overbought. Okay, so at the end of the day, I mean, we're getting ready to make new highs. I would expect a pullback. I'm not saying to do anything with it right now, but that is what it looks like. Crowd, okay, again, in the middle of nowhere, not much really to do. Meta's got earnings tomorrow, right in the middle of nowhere. So you can see the last time we talked, we had some pretty good trades that worked out fine. But here I'm telling you that I don't want to fight into the earnings market Okay, because I don't know which way to guess. Okay, and I'm not getting a clear signal. Believe me, if we were well overbought or well oversold, and any of these things, I would look at non-trades. I don't care about the earnings end, but right now we're in the middle of nowhere. Google earnings as well. You are towards the upper end, but you're really in the upper end of a very tightening, consolidating market. What is Google expecting? Let's see what the expected move is on Google. $11, so about 6 or 7% once again. IWM, really nothing. Moderna, making a little bit of a bounce, but we've seen this movie before. But from a probability standpoint, we have no edge. There's no reason for us to even look. Okay. Microsoft earnings this week, again, overbought, but not dramatically overbought. Remember, if you look at it from the phase of the market, you're really just in a consolidation period, and then the bands have narrowed up. Okay. The standard deviations are much tighter. So again, you have to be aware of where you are, and knowing that there's a news item coming out really doesn't make sense for me to want to get overly involved. Okay. MSTR, again, I would love to sell this, but they got earnings this week. So again, but certainly this looks like it's dramatically overdone. In fact, I am going to look at this just real quick. Again, this is pretty severely overbought. Okay, so I can take a look. MSTR. Again, we'd have to account for some movement, and of course, the expected move for this week is $24, 10%ish. Okay, so certainly I could look out and let's say, let's just look out here. Okay. The 270, 250, you could get about $1 for that. Okay. You're out just inside the expected move. Again, is it something that you want to trade? Probably not. I would more say that I'd like to sit it out and wait, even though everything qualifies. But again, I don't want to have to be forced to make a decision later. Nugget is in the middle, nothing to do. Last week we talked about selling it, worked out perfectly. Nvidia in the middle, nothing to do. The Qs, a little bit overboughtish, but not dramatic. But certainly you could look. But one of the things I'm sharing with you now is I'm not looking for much right now because I do know all the news that's coming out. I do know that we have a lack of activity in the market right now. We have what we would call a listless type of trade. So if we're in this kind of circumstance, why would I want to get overly involved? Okay. Now, certainly you're starting to see some selling pressure here, but we're not seeing volume come in with the sell. Okay. Now we have time. Okay. Certainly we could get some trades here. Okay. Let's finish up our other list while we're waiting because we still got a few minutes. Square, okay, has come off, but it hasn't done much for us. Earnings are next week. SPY, nothing to do. Tesla, as I told you last week, was a sale, and it's working out just fine. Okay. And Win, in the middle of nowhere, nothing to do. XPI, nothing to do. Zoom, which we did sell and did lose, I would be selling it again. In fact, I'm going to go do it right now. While we're sitting here, I'm going to go sell this one right now. Because again, to me, it's overbought. Again, I have nothing to do with what I think of the company, although I think the company is a piece of crap. But that has nothing to do with it. It's purely and I'm going to take a short position here, okay, by selling a deep in the money call spread. I'm going to sell the 75, 76, excuse me. I'm going to sell the 70, 76 for $4.99. Okay, that's not good enough. I'm not getting enough edge off of the call. Hold on one second. Let's see what the 71. Let's see what the 72. 72, 70, 96 cents. I'm going to sell these 72, 76 for $3.10. Okay. And that is working now. Okay, we'll see what happens if it fills. Again, I'm taking a little bit of a short position. I'm collecting a $3.10 credit. I got a 90 cents risk. The put itself would cost me $1.10, so I'm saving about 20 cents. All right, now let's go back in here and see if we are going to get a potential trade in crude oil. In fact, we can go, you can see it now. It is far surpassed where I was looking, so I can go and look at it now and see where it comes to. Okay. And again, we're waiting. Right now, the stop in crude would be 66.40. If we get a trade, we do not have a trade yet, but 66.40 would be the thing. Hold on one second. I gotta look at one thing. I'm not going anywhere. Luis, hold on. Just have a new puppy. You gotta make sure he's not running away outside. Hold on. Okay, so we're still looking for crude here. Okay. And again, we don't have a buy yet. Okay, we know our stop is going to be 66.36. Okay, we got to wait for a close of this bar, and it's got to close, I'd say, let's say 67.06 or higher. And then we'd be happy to oblige, take a look at it. Yeah, but we still got to wait for the timing here. Okay. All right. If you want to participate, you can take crude. Okay. And you work your orders above to sell. You should be in at about 67.14. Okay. You're working one at 24, which you should have filled. You should be out of one. Okay. You should be out of one and take your stop to break even now. Make sure you lock up the profit, and then we'll just let it run and see what happens. Okay. And we can go back. We're in, so we don't have to worry about it. Okay. And we'll see what goes on. And is there anything else developing? And the answer is not really. So we'll watch our crude. Okay. But you should have your orders working. Okay. And you should be stopped out now. And should be out for a profit. Okay. And again, it's not a big profit, but we didn't get the big retrace back up. So okay, we'll take what we got. We'll take the money. And again, we're on looking for another potential trade. I don't know that we'll get one, but there it was. It was perfect, and it came out. We got in, and we were able to capitalize on it right away. Okay, and normally we'd like to see it obviously continue to run. Whoa, hold on, guys. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Okay, so we would have liked to seen it run a little farther, but hey, money is money. Profit is profit, and that's all we can be concerned with. Again, there's not much going on anywhere else right now. Again, there's some that are questionable, but in a market that is trading such as this, I am not interested in positions that are questionable. Okay, they're either good and they should be traded or not. There will be times in the future when we will be willing to step up a little bit more and trade a little bit more aggressively, but this is not the time. Okay, this is one thing you have to remember, that aggressive is only good when the markets are giving you the opportunity to be good, and this is not that time. Okay, so again, I always warn you about being more cautious and allowing the markets to work for you, not against you. Okay, and there's a chance here we could get another potential trade in crude oil. Okay, and I don't think so, but there's a potential to be another buy coming. But nothing else is really percolating right now. So there's not much that we can do. So we can just kind of watch and hang out. But again, I warn you about, you got Jobs Friday coming. I tell you got the election coming. So you have a lot of drivers that are coming to this market that could create some movement. And to me, it makes sense that we might see something, because this market's finally might be ready to break out of a direction. Okay. You want to go back outside? Hold on, guys. Sorry. All right. Good. Sorry. You got to take care of the puppy. It's one of those things. So, anyways, not much here, anyways. Okay, as we see, crude is bouncing. We didn't get another opportunity to get in, but hey, that's life in a big city. We don't worry about what we missed. We worried about the trades that we can make. We worry about making the most when we can. Okay, and it's certainly much more about being in the best position for success. Okay, again, all you're really looking at. It has nothing to do with what the news is. It is only a probability model, is what you're watching. Okay, and that's really what it comes down to. It's a straight probability model. Okay, so again, if you always recognize that, you'll find yourself a lot happier over time if you stick with just the probability of the market. Okay, because again, nobody knows for sure which way anything's going to go, but we can read within the probability of when they get extended in any direction, because there's a much higher probability of a retracement to the mean. And that's something that you have to always remember. Okay, is that what you're looking for? Okay, so in the meantime, we sit, we watch, and we look for the next potential opportunity. Okay. Okay, so once again, not much happening right now. Okay, we just sit here and chat. You have any questions, feel free to fire in. I mean, I don't have much to say because there's not much to do. We've gone through everything. But certainly you're seeing gold come down a little bit. Again, it's not collapsing. I wouldn't be surprised if it did have a pretty serious sell-off, but right now it's still kind of hovering. Okay, nothing, again, not much for us to do. And we have to remember that when there's not much for us to do, we don't do much. I think that's the hardest thing for most people and most traders to understand, is that the markets are open 241 days a year. And I think if you've been reading the rumors, they're going to start going to 22 hours a day for the equity markets. And it won't be long before the markets are 24/7. Okay. So without anything else to do, I will talk to you all on Thursday. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here on Thursday. Bubba's Live Trading.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.